So it is kind of actually raining just now as I'm about to record, but it should be fine. It's completely fine. Just had to quickly get the cats home. So 12 years. 12 years has been since I had a bike. And for the longest time, I kind of avoided it. I avoided the process of buying a bike, getting used to it, and just riding it, especially in the UK with our drivers being kind of reckless is a nice word. I think we'll just keep it to reckless for now. So 12 years since I last had a bike. And so I just went for it. I bought a bike secondhand about 4 or 5 days ago now. I buy it, it comes through, and the first thought I had was there is no way I can still ride that bike. It has been so long that, sure, muscle memory, but there's no way I could just hop on and ride it. And my nerves, of course, my nerves were telling me, nah, you're going to crash. You're going to crash. It's going to go very poorly. You're going to hate it. It's going to be horrible. I hopped on the bike and I rode it pretty much immediately. Sure, I was still a little shaky, a little nervous. I was a bit scared, of course, but I just went for it. And there's a certain feeling that you get because the last time it was obviously I was a kid back then, and going back to it, there's a certain nostalgia to it. It's a physical nostalgia where you physically feel like you are back in a place again, not just that idea of it. And so there I was, brand new bike, secondhand bike. Still, to me, brand new bike, a brand new experience. And a whole door has opened for me because I can now explore something that, again, I always wanted to do. And for this channel, it probably will be mostly just me and my experiences, my thoughts, and so on. It's just going to be all the thoughts that I have. Pretty much the mind of a madman is going to be what this channel will be. And I'll at some point change the bio to just that, right? Ramblings of a madman. That is me, right? So I buy the bike. It's a folding bike. Should see some pictures of it here. I already love it. Now, when it came in, it had a couple of issues, but I only realized those issues as I was riding on them. It had a couple of rusty spots, just the screws and things. Not much of a problem. I hop on, I ride it, and I noticed that the brake line didn't look too great. I taped it over and everything, and I go out for shopping. And on my way down and back up again, and I realized I don't have back brakes anymore. I had them as I was pedaling just then, and I don't have them anymore. So I stop, hop off, and I realized that I don't have brakes anymore because the line was holding on by literally 2 threads. Now, this is those metal wires that we're talking about that holds the brake and actually makes it useful. It was holding on by 2 pieces of threads. So yeah, good luck with fixing that then. That's fine. I get home. I've never used the front brakes before. I would always just use the back ones. I would skid everywhere. I was a kid. I didn't really care. And you fall off, you just hop back on and just forget that you even have front brakes, because front brakes meant you would die. So I avoided that. But so I get home. I order some wires for the bike. I put it on. That's a whole process, takes a whole day. So I finally decide, okay, it's noon. I want to go explore. And there are lots of places to explore. So I just make my way down the road. Now there's some shops and stuff, and there's some back roads. I go off the streets and I just look around, just places that I've been on foot. I wanted to pass on the bike and I wanted to just see what it's like. Again, I haven't done this in a long time. So I make my way And just as I'm deciding maybe it's time to go home, I see something on Google Maps. Now, before I continue, I will say do not use Google Maps unless you really, really have to for actual directions on a bike. Google Maps hates cyclists. Now, what it likes to do is it goes, oh, you're on a bike? Okay, well, bikes have 2 wheels and a car has 4 wheels. So technically, by both of them having wheels, they're the same thing, which means they can do the same things. So what it will do is it will direct you to a path that has cars doing 40 to 50 miles per hour, which is whatever, like 80 or so, maybe more kilometers. On the bike, it says, oh, it must be the same thing, right? You could do that on the highway, on a bike, a folding bike at that, but fine. You make your way around. So when it comes to Google Maps, don't use Google Maps. Just don't. If you really have to, use it to map certain areas that you would just walk anyway. So if you find a certain path and you don't like it, you can use Google Maps to just kind of route your own path around it. You can do that. But if you're looking for directions on Google Maps will most likely try to get you killed. It's just that simple. So don't do that. There are other apps that you can use. Some of them are paid for. All of them are paid for. So if you really have to, you can use some of them. They even have certain tracks, places that are really nice that people use to tour on bikes and so on. So if that's what you want to do, you can do that. For me, I tried it, didn't really like it. So it's just a bit of my own and Google Maps. I just use it to kind of figure out, I want to go over there. And then I just go there on the bike. So I look on Google Maps. Now, this was before I figured out that it is horrific to use. And so I turn it on and I look around and I notice there's a big patch of green on the map just down the road from me. There's a road that goes between it. I can go right between that. I can get there and just see what it looks like. I ride through. It's rough. The pavements are so horrific. They are so bad. I'm amazed that you have a difficult time walking on it. Now, riding on it though, nah. I'm not that much of a masochist. No, thank you. So I hop off. I walk the rest of it. The bike walks with me, of course that it does. And then I get to it, the little entrance to the park area. Now, this place was gorgeous. It was overgrown. It was not kept. You can tell they just had this big patch of land that they didn't know what to do with. So, Britain being Britain, they just went, oh, why not just leave it to do its own thing? People walk through it and they'll make their own path. We'll put like 3 chairs somewhere. We'll put a map that is 50 to 60 years old. People will figure it out. They'll be fine. So anyway, I go through nonetheless. And I am finding, when you see certain pictures on YouTube, be it on Google, when you're just searching nature, things like that, there are certain places that you see and you think that has to have been designed in some way just to have that view, You walk through this place and it is, so first of all, it's a hill. In the middle of this massive park area, there's this big hill that I climb, which then leads back to another road that goes home. It is such a beautiful sight because in the distance you see the greenery and then you see some more of like the buildings and the housing and stuff, and you just have this gorgeous view. And the most amazing part is as the sun goes down, it goes down in that specific view. There's a picture that I took that first time that I went out, and it is a pink sunset that is coming down, and it is so pretty. And it looked beautiful in person, not that great on my phone because I film everything on my phone. But there it was, gorgeous, and an experience that will stick with me. I eventually make my way out and I go through this little path, which was gorgeous in itself. There's like overgrown kind of nature and trees and stuff, and they've curved over this little path and you can ride through it. It's gorgeous. I eventually make my way home. It's fantastic. Now, I will add, just around those couple of days that I go on my bike, like a whole bunch of songs, but 3 specifically really good songs that I'm listening to back now have dropped, and I'll name them. I'll actually put them up on the screen. Gorgeous songs, beautiful songs, amazing. And here's the thing, just that little experience by itself would have been fulfilling enough. I'm finally on a bike and I'm experiencing something again, and I get to be healthy, something that I've let myself go for a very long time. I'm a big guy, but being on that bike again, it's an experience that I couldn't afford if I had all the money in the world. And so there I was. The day's over. I'm tired. My body's in pain. And the first thought I had was, I'm going to go do that again tomorrow, but I'm going to try and go further. And so I did that. Tomorrow happens. I get up at noon, and the first thought I had is, all right, let's go as far as I can go. And around 12:30 p.m., I leave. Hop on the bike, start pedaling, and just make my way down. I went to the same hill, and I got some nice shots, and it was mostly just test footage to see if it looks good. I've been looking for a place once I get a mic for my phone, I'll be able to just record outside. And obviously, once I can do that, you'll see more of that in my videos. So I went there for some test footage. You will see those. It looked great. It was beautiful, but it wasn't enough. I thought, I have my bike. I have everything I need. I had a bottle of water, and I'll make a list of all the stuff that I had. You'll see them on the screen. Everything that I needed was with me. So why not go a little further? Bring up Google Maps again, the bane of my existence. And I think, okay, this is a big patch of green. What else is a big patch of green? So I scroll the map a little bit and I realize there is another big patch of green, except this one has a large body of water on it, kind of like me. So I thought, let's go for it. Why not? And I start pedaling. I start riding through. I get past some of the areas. There's a little bit of a hill. For the hills, I hop off the bike, I walk it, and then I get back on the bike. So I arrive. I arrive at the entrance and I just make my way through. This one has pavements and it has gravel road. It is already beautiful. It is so much more beautiful because it's actually looked after. People frequent this area as opposed to where I was before. Before, the majority of it is just grass. So it's just pray and good luck, right? But for this had a path, which means I could be on the bike much more and much more efficiently. And so I do it. And there I am, I'm riding through, just taking in nature. Hop off, drink some water and all of that. And as I'm going through, I get to see this gorgeous, gorgeous view. There's the water. People are kayaking to one side. There's boats, and people are trying to like do some of like the sailing stuff. It is gorgeous. The area that I stopped at, you'll see a picture of it. There's a video and everything. The ground, so where the water was touching, it is so disgusting. You can catch diseases by being near it. You don't have to drink it. You see this gorgeous piece of water here? Yeah, that's not what I had. There's no way to look through it. What you see is just filth, but in liquid form. Okay? but nonetheless, the view was worth every second of it. So I keep going. And I realized the area that I stopped at was on this side. Now I looked across the little reservoir and I could see a path on the other side. And I thought, there's more green there. I want to go there. And I look to one side and I see a bridge and I think, I'm going to try and look, I'll try and cross that. If there's a path on that, I'll try and cross that. I use Google Maps. And Google Maps goes, oh yeah, just travel that way and then you'll get there. And so I went that way, and it didn't get me there. It took me all the way around next to a highway. Cars are doing 50 and 60. And eventually, as I'm going all the way around, I make it to the green again. So thank you, but no thank you, Google. I eventually get there, and it's a whole other experience. Immediately, it's a different experience. There were the people laying down, they're just enjoying it, they're taking it in. Now, it was it was a warm day, kind of. There was a little bit of sun, mostly cloudy, but the sun was desperately trying to peek through, okay? But that didn't matter. I get there, I sit down, I set up the camera because I have all the stuff with me, and I just take it in. There's a chair, it's a very, very wobbly chair. And I have some footage of it, and I recorded my voice on them as well. I was hoping the mic would pick up at least me talking. No. It did a little bit, but it's not great. So you'll just see some footage of me doing some stuff. I'll be talking to the camera. You won't hear any of it, which is a good thing. And yeah, it's just the fact that has been so close to me all this time was everything to me. But I kept going. I pack up everything, I ride through, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go through and through and through. I'm just going to pick one path and I'll just go all the way down and see what happens, see what I get to. And I did that. I go all the way through, and the more I go through, the more beautiful it gets. It's amazing. So I keep going, and I get to this little bridge. Now, during the filming of it in person, obviously, it didn't come out very great. If it does, I'll try and cut it through and actually just use the recording from my phone if I can hear myself well. So a quick update. I think I have found what I like to call the Stinky Bridge. Now I'm gonna try and get a little closer to that little bit right through there, and it is not the best smell. You could smell it before you got to the bridge. There's a little tiny water that goes under it. It is so putrid of a smell. A bathroom is heavenly in comparison, okay? But we persevere. We push through, over the bridge, more pathway, and it just, there's a certain feeling of, you know, you're kind of lost, but you also know you aren't. Beautiful music is playing in my head, and I'm just, it's a whole thing. It's a whole mood. You're a part of nature, and you're back here, and there's no one to really mess around, and it's silence. It's quiet. You're able to take everything in. You can hear the birds and the animals just kind of do their own thing. Nature is doing its own thing, and you're just a part of it, right there in the middle of it. So I go further in, and I see a little camping area. Now, throughout the little park that I was in, at every point that it got, at every chance, it kept having this little sign that says, no camping and no bonfires, no fires of any kind, please. Now that's one way that I could go. That's one path. And then there's that way. I want to go that way because I think that has a really nice view of the water. And then there's this thing. It's not too great. Yeah. Well, it's gone through it, but it is gorgeous. It's really nice, apart from that stinky bridge. The stinky bridge was not great. But we're gonna go that way, and we're gonna see where that takes us. There were many areas where people had started a fire, most likely for a barbecue, of course. Campfires, at least I counted 3 to 5 in the proximity of one another. I mean, it's like one here, you write down a little bit, one there, and then so on and so forth. So there's this little area. It's like a tiny little shack, and there's like a chair. There's a bunch of chairs and a table inside of it. It's horrible. It's not looked after. It's got graffiti all over it. But there's like a feeling of it's like it's nature, but it's kind of urban as well. It's really weird to explain. And I hope the footage properly shows it. It's an experience all in itself. Now, just off of that was an area that I wanted to go to, which I eventually sit down, and I will have that in the footages that I put up and stuff. So, looks like the remains of what was supposed to be a little spot where you would stand and take in the view of the water here. But let's just say taking the view part of that is, well, it's gone. That part is completely gone. But we have, let's see if I can make it through this part here. We have this, and it is gorgeous. Now I wish my phone could capture it a little bit better, but this is amazing. There's a little seat with table stuff here, and it is gorgeous. My bike is actually just right through there. I might go grab it, just sit it there, and then just take in this view a little bit. All right. This is pretty much what I've always wanted. You know, it's just being able to relax, take in the nothingness a little bit, you know. Get away from the routine of everyday life. The area that I got to was so beautiful. And again, just more of a view of the water, the water around me. And I eventually moved out of that and just further down. And what you can see was essentially the path was created for mountain biking, tricks and jumps and all of that. And you can tell that people would go through there with their mountain bikes and do that. But at the time that I went, it was perfectly quiet. Now, eventually that day comes to a close. I found a path would lead right back to a highway, kind of a highway. It's a main road that I had been on so many times, which means this park, this little pathway that I was on, which was closed off, I had to hop over, was just right next to me this whole time. It was just right there, and I had never known. That's fine. So that day ends. Now, before I continue, please, if you are going to explore nature, please do it. But for the love of everything, please wear protection. That one too, but mainly like cream, just any sort of bug repellent, something that will get them off of you, because I have bites all over me. I was dinner for that day, but I still loved it, right? So anyway, so the next day happens. I get up around, I think it was like 1 p.m. I was really tired the next day, the night before. And so I get up around 1. I prepare myself and everything. I had cold water and all that. Everything is ready, and I leave around 2 p.m. And I thought, it's a bit late, but we'll make it. And I just go on the ride. It didn't take me too long to get to my destination, but the path there, no thank you Google, but realistically, no thank you Britain, because it's essentially a 2-lane road where cars can do about 30 or 40 if they want to. And then there's you on a pavement that is tiny for one person, which then ends halfway through. So you're doing it's this side, and then you have to cross that road to go to this side so you can ride on either. But you have to pray that you make it on either side the whole journey. And then it gets to a hill. So the hill in itself wasn't bad enough. I walked it. But then as I'm walking the first hill, I look across from me. It's a 90-degree hill on a hill. I wanted to go home, but I didn't. And I thought, if it's this bad, it must be amazing. And I will make it to the other end. And sure enough, I did. As I'm making my way down the hill, on the road, I cross a highway. Of course you do. It's Britain. And I get there, and the first thing that I see is private property. Well, fine. So I go around that. Okay, this is the path. You go through here, you arrive at this massive reservoir. Perfect. Private property. You cannot cross this little gateway thing. Fine. So I back up a little bit, find another entrance. It's like a little walk through. I did it with my bike. It's fine. And then the gorgeousness starts. I start walking through. I pull out my camera. There's some early shots that I take. They're not that great, but I just wanted to see it. I just wanted my camera to see it. More private property, but let's find our way around. I get all of that. And then I walk a little bit further down. Again, please, when you do any of this, please get water, of course, but please get bug repellent because it's horrible. And if you do in any way travel through Britain, especially our nature, our greenery in any way through parks or whatever, if you're going to do what I did, wear trousers, wear pants of any sort. Do not wear shorts. And if you do want to wear shorts for the bike ride, please do so. But then wear some trousers for going through nature. Because we have plants that only mean you harm. Okay? And they have essentially just taken over all of Britain. You will see them everywhere. It is such a bad time. And all the great paths that I had to go through, plants on one side, plants on that side, and it is all bad. Like I had to wade through thorns to get to this little first area, which was gorgeous, and it looked like a little beach area with the water coming in. It was so beautiful, but I had to get through thorns for that. Look at this. Golly. And little path that I came through. But it was fine. I didn't care. What I cared about was I got to where I always wanted to be. And there I was, filming this beautiful area. And I got different shots of it. I'll try and put them all up and you'll see them. This was just my experience, and it was even better in person. I had my water with me. It was everything. So I continued to film as I went through. There are some gorgeous, gorgeous shots that I got. And as I'm going through, now, hear me out. I had to take this shot. This shot had to happen because every single person that I know on YouTube that I've seen, all of them do this one shot. Oh, there's just a camera sitting there. I wonder what it's filming. Oh, I just happened to pass the camera. I had to do it as well. All right. I did just one, and I did it just to say that I've done it. All right. I doubt I'll do it again because it's kind of annoying to do. Put the camera down, walk away, walk back through, come back around, pick up the camera. It's too much work. It's not worth it. So I explored the rest of it. There were, I mean, nature in itself is such an amazing thing to see. Just as it is overgrown, the pathways between, I mean, it was partially gravel, mostly gravel, had some dirt in between and stuff. It was nice. I actually enjoyed the ride through. And some of it I did on foot. But it was so gorgeous. And you can see there was a path as well for mountain biking and all of that. So people who wanted to do tricks, they could. It was really nice. And again, it was so peaceful. And you could see older people walking through, and there were people with family and all that. They would come through, and it was just gorgeous. It was beautiful. Just everyone going about their life, but as a part of nature. These massive trees that had fallen and just become a part of the ground. It was an experience that makes that hill worth every single second. And I wouldn't have gotten there if I'd just on that hill decided, I should probably go home. Or if I had decided, I'll leave the bike to next year or maybe a couple of months from now. I would have just avoided it and avoided it, but there I was. I was a part of it, and I got there all thanks to this little bike, this little foldable bike, this beautiful little thing that I got, and it is just, it was lovely. That experience, I mean, it's priceless. And I say that in like, in every way. It's something that you cannot afford. It's so expensive, but it's free. You just have to go to it. And it is something that you have to be there in person. These videos, these pictures will not do it justice at all. At all. So I sit down, there's a little, it's pretty much surrounded by farm area and stuff. And they're selling some stuff like coffees, and I don't know why you would ever have coffee there, but fine. And lemonade and things like that. And I grabbed the lemonade. £3.50 for a cup of the like this size. And it is pretty much all ice. They just poured a little bit of lemonade in there. I asked the lady to refill my bottle with water. She did it. It was really kind. It was really nice. But yeah, I sat down. I drank that tiny little bit of lemonade, but it was worth it. It was worth it just for that view. Now, I shot the rest of it, and then on my way back, traveling through main roads where cars can at random points decide if your life is actually worth keeping around is a whole other experience. Again, getting there and leaving there was complete hell. But the actual destination itself, that place was worth every second, and it was all thanks to the bike. I got the bike and I decided, let's go for it. And I did. So it has been a couple of days now. Today, I'm just going to sit down and edit this video. But what I will say is, I'm going to continue doing this. This will be a journey it's just started. So I've only had a couple of days of seeing what Britain has to offer. It won't be the last though. This is something that I've always wanted. And now that I have the bike, I'm always going to try to do. And we'll see what happens. We'll see in a couple of months. Maybe this will actually go away a little bit, you know? So we have a ways to go. But to bring it back around, for me, a lot of the stuff that I've done in my life have been letting things go, myself mainly, and just giving up mostly. But I think more than anything, it's important to realize that it happens to all of us. We all kind of let go. Things don't always go well. Life always finds a way to be an asshole, to put it one way, you know. It's important to realize when it's going poorly so that you can start fixing it. Start looking for a solution. For me, life, I was in a really bad spot because I wasn't pulling myself out of the problem. I was placing myself in there and I had forgotten myself. I just said, yeah, you could stay there. Just be there. Just take it all in. It's fine. You'll be okay. I was not fine. And I was not okay. But in this last year, it's just been a long, tedious process of just slowly rebuilding this thing that I had let go to ruin, right? It's like leaving a castle to ruin throughout the centuries. And then you go back to it and you're like, okay, let's go rebuild it. It's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a week. But it's a process where once it's rebuilt, it will be worth every single one of those bricks that had to be put back in place. And this process of me buying this bike was that for me. And for anyone else, all I want to say is get yourself a bike. Go buy it secondhand, go on eBay, look for some reputable sellers and just buy yourself a cheap bike. And anything that needs to be fixed, trust me, bikes are very easy to work with. They seem tedious. There are all kinds of videos on YouTube, and you will feel like you're limited in some ways. Like, oh, what do I do if this breaks and what do I do? It's completely fine. There are all kinds of places that you can go to have your bike serviced. You can do that if you need to, but it is worth every penny. It is worth every second. All of that, even the journeys that you had to take. Maybe you live in a really bad area. Get a bike, maybe a foldable one like me. You can keep it in an apartment. Get it and just go out there. Go explore, go have fun, and see what the world has to offer, because it has a lot to offer. There are people who cross Europe on a bike. There are people who cross there was one I saw where there was this guy with a friend, a couple of friends. He went from England all the way to Australia. If a human being could do that, and it took him about a year, of course, because he was essentially doing it like a vacation. If a person can do that and enjoy it, why is it that no one else wants to try? You know, it seems difficult, and it is. It's not easy, but it's step by step. That's all it is. It's today I went a couple of yards down the road. Tomorrow I'll go down the road and I'll see what else is there. The day after that, I'll explore that park. It's not too long. And then you'll go miles and kilometers out of the way. And once you get far enough, you realize you could have done that all this time, but you just avoided it because maybe you were scared. For me, I was scared. I was nervous. I was avoiding it because I can name a whole bunch of excuses and none of them are really worth it. I got to see something that made every one of those seconds that I spent in those parks, in those 2 days, worth all of it, worth every penny that I spent on that bike and that I will continue to spend. So here's where I'll end the video. And I will say, I will thank everyone for watching my videos, for leaving a like, for just bothering to watch this long. It's going to be a kind of long video. Apparently I've been recording for about 40 minutes, but yeah, thank you for giving me that time. And hopefully, if anything, even if it's one person that decides, hey, you know what? I've always been eyeing that one bike. Maybe I should go buy it. Go for it. You will look back on that day and think that is the best decision I've ever made in my life, because I'm already here. I'm already there. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and enjoy.